So we all knew they were shooting kids. We all knew they were shooting civilians. We just didn't know they were paying to do it. We thought that, a portion of them.
Welcome to another episode of the Olive Roots podcast. I'm your host, Chosi Ayu. Today, I have somebody who's an activist, and her name is Mia. Mia,
Hi.
what's going on? How you doing today?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's been raining here, and it's a little cold, but it gets warm. And I'm in Georgia. How about you?
I'm in the DMV area outside of DC. So same thing right now. It's very cold, very rainy. So perfect time for a podcast.
Perfect time for a podcast. Well, thank you for taking the time to join us today. I'm excited to learn about you and share with the audience your story. So let's start with your identity. I would love for you to share where were you raised, where you from, ethnic background, any languages you speak, and your journey all the way to DC. So the stage is yours.
Awesome. Well, for people that aren't following me, my name is Mia, and I am from Bosnia and Herzegovina, one of the hardest countries to pronounce, but definitely one of the best. I moved to the States when I was about 7 because of the genocide that was going on in the 90s over there. So, as you can tell, maybe from my accent, we moved to Michigan. So that's where I was raised. I lived there for about 18 years. And then I think it'll resonate with a lot of the people, but when you're forced to leave your homeland, you always kind of have that wish to always go back. So I think about, you know, 12, 13 years ago, I decided to move back to Bosnia and go back to my roots and figure out if life was possible there too. But I think when you're raised, you always feel like you have a dual citizenship, a dual nationality. So I lived there for about 10, 11 years. I got married, have 2 little boys who are my entire world. And, when things kind of heated up with Ukraine and Russia, I was talking to my husband and I said, I can't do the 90s again. I can't do war again. I can't have my kids raised how I was raised. So, because I was there for almost 4 years during some of the toughest occupation in Sarajevo at the time. And so I really didn't want them to go through it. And so we ended up deciding to move to the States because we thought it was a better option. Little did we know what the last 3 years had in store for us. So it's been quite a journey looking at America, 11 years ago even, and what it's like now. So I think it's been quite a journey for us as a family and to try to kind of, you know, figure out our own way and what's going on right now and navigate this. So that's a little bit about my background. And it also speaks to, how you and I met is because of the activism I'm doing here for Palestine, because of what I grew up with. And so I was really lucky through all of this, even though it's been really hard for 2 years. I've met some really amazing people and I'm very, very lucky. So there's always at least something good that comes from something bad. So that's been my journey so far.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So, growing up in Bosnia, coming to the US at 7 years old with your parents, and living here, then going back to Bosnia and living there for 10 years and meeting the love of your life, getting married, having kids over there,
Yes.
and then deciding to move back to the United States. Got it. Okay, so tell me a little bit about growing up in Bosnia. How much do you remember? And how is the country overall before the genocide? How is the culture, coexistence of different people? Give us a little bit of information about Bosnia.
So Bosnia, so when I was born, it was Yugoslavia. And I really couldn't tell you much because I was about 4 years old when the war started. But I can tell you some of my earliest memories traveling. We have a beautiful coast. My dad's family is from Montenegro, so we had a house on the beach. And, summers you're at the beach, winters you're in the mountains skiing. In terms of diversity, our first neighbors were Catholic. Our godparents were Eastern Orthodox. So, in terms of diversity, Sarajevo is known as the Jerusalem of Europe. We have some of the oldest synagogues, some of the oldest churches, some of the oldest mosques in Europe, and they're all centered there. So, before the war, it was very multi-ethnic, multinational. Everyone got along really well, um, which is, I think, why the genocide was such a surprise to people, because there has been such a level of coexistence before that that nobody actually expected something so outrageous to happen. And I know for, I want to say fact, but I'm pretty sure it's fact that a lot of the people that were fighting were from Sarajevo. They all came in from different areas that were pretty ethnically clean. So little villages where you only had your religion near you, and those were the ones that were committing the genocide. People that grew up there, even Eastern Orthodox people, um, they were fighting for Sarajevo. So they were fighting against the occupation. So it wasn't, even in the war, you still had a lot of unity. But I think the difference is after the war, going back, you could see that there's definitely nationalism based on faith. Like there's a lot more cities that are primarily, with a certain religion that wasn't the case before.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the genocide. Like, how much do you know about it? What were you told from your family, or maybe history of your nation, or anything of that sort? Like, how much do you know? Share with us what you know, and so the audience can learn about what happened in Bosnia.
So Yugoslavia, for anyone that's ever heard of it, anyone that's ever lived with parents that are from there, they know that Yugoslavia is probably one of, you know, to them, one of the greatest countries in the world. And I think it was to everyone. However, after Tito died, who was, and I'm just quoting here, the greatest leader ever, once he died, it just left a huge vacuum. And Yugoslavia, in its constitution, always allowed every single state, if they wanted autonomy and they wanted independence, if they had a referendum, they could always regain their independence. So Yugoslavia was made up of seven countries, and so at any time they could have voted for their independence. So in 1992, Bosnia voted for a referendum and they wanted independence. One of the primary reasons was Yugoslavia at that time was battling some economic issues. And a lot of the military power, a lot of the economic power, everything was based in Belgrade. And people, outside of Belgrade, especially Muslims outside of Belgrade, were really second class citizens. At certain points, you could just identify as other. So you could be Serbian, Croatian, or other. You could be something, but you could never have your full Bosnian Muslim identity. And not just Bosnian Muslim, like it was really everywhere. Serbia has a Muslim population, so does Croatia, but it was really, you couldn't identify as a Muslim and you were always kind of a second grade citizen. But it just happened to be that Bosnia, due to the Turkish legacy, had the highest population of Muslims, which is why it was targeted. So when it voted for its independence, um, so Serbia at that time had all of the military concentration there, all of it, all of the weapons, everything was concentrated because of the Yugoslav National Army was concentrated in Belgrade. And so, when Bosnia declared independence, they just basically said, no, we want a greater Serbia. We can call it whatever you want, call it, Serbian Montenegro and Bosnia, Yugoslavia, whatever, but we just want a greater Serbia. And it was also a fact that they wanted an ethnically clean Bosnia. So they wanted a Bosnia that didn't have Muslims. And so it was a concentrated force to expel and kill as many Muslims as possible from the country and bring it in as part of a greater Serbia. So they tried for 4 years. They were unsuccessful. It was the fifth largest military force, and it was unsuccessful because you're fighting for your country and you're fighting for your people. And so there's just no plan B at that point. And um, so in Sarajevo, it's very, I don't know if you guys are hearing right now, but there's something called Sarajevo Safari. We can get into it later, but it's something. So Sarajevo is surrounded by mountains. And we've now found out that actually people were paying to come in, and snipers were paying to come and shoot, pregnant women, children, everyone else for points or like ratings or whatever they were doing. Um, which we knew that they were targeting kids. We knew they were targeting civilians. It wasn't a secret. I'll tell you a story. My mother-in-law told me this story. When my husband was like 6 or 7 years old, so we all had like blankets on our windows, so you couldn't see inside, and they couldn't see if somebody was home or not. So we had like thick blankets, so you could see movement, you could see light. Well, he was a tiny kid, so he wanted to see if anyone was outside. So he stuck his little head under the blanket and outside the window, and she saw him, and she just pulls him away. And on her, this is a minute. This is a minute or two. And as she pulls him away, she looks down, and like these pants that were folded on a hanger were on the floor. So she like, bends down to pick him up, and she picks him up, and a bullet had fallen out. So she realized that they like shot at his head, and like the minute they saw a kid on a window, they shot at his head and missed it, and thankfully hit the big one. So we all knew they were shooting kids. We all knew they were shooting civilians. We just didn't know they were paying to do it. We thought that a portion of them, and a person they're linking now to it is the president of Serbia currently, which we all would hear things, but we didn't have phones at the time. We didn't have like smartphones. You can't, there's no recordings. You can't capture it. You can't prove it. It's word of mouth. So word of mouth at the time was that he did it. But now Italy's investigating those claims. So we'll see. But I mean, we already heard that he was involved. We already heard that people were paying to kill us. So it's something that, it's going to have an end. There's going to be a story. It's going to get told. It's just sad that they're investigating 30 years after it was over and not, you know, 28 years ago when we knew it happened. So,
Wow, that sounds similar to Gaza.
yeah,
Those contractors coming there just to shoot at people and enjoy their life because they're demons, you know?
demons, absolutely demons.
Parallels there. So once the Serbian government decided to create the Greater Serbia, like the Greater Israel,
Mm-hmm.
what about,
Mm-hmm.
what about the Bosnians that were Christian? What happened to them? Did they try to defend their fellow Muslim Bosnians? Like, how did that work out? And what about the Muslims that were in Serbia, or there was none?
No, there's a whole place called Sandzak, but you have to understand, we're talking about really huge military powers. So I remember when they started attacking Bosnia, one of my friends told me this story. In the Serbian portion where the Muslims live called Sandzak, uh, there was people that came in and started selling all the Muslim people weapons. And they said, you have to protect yourself. The Serbs are going to kill you. You have to protect yourself. Look at what they're doing in Bosnia, right? So these people scraped up all the money because these are all poorer areas. They're all, farmlands, villages. They're not very purposely not developed. They are systematically not developed. So they were very poor areas, and people sold stuff they scraped up. They would buy these weapons on this black market, and the people that were selling them were Serbs. So the Serb army would just come and know, okay, these people all bought guns. They would take them away from them. And so they had their money, they had, the guns back, but it was just like games that they would play the whole time. So in Bosnia, so because the Dayton Peace Agreement is just such a joke. If you're born to a Catholic family in Bosnia, if you've been Bosnian your entire life, like your entire last 10 generations have been born in Bosnia, but you're Catholic, you're called Croatian. You automatically get a Croatian passport. You are you have EU citizenship. It's insane, right? If you have been 10 generations born in like the same village in Bosnia, but you're Eastern Orthodox, you're Serbian, you're a Bosnian Serb. And you could literally have never taken a step into Serbia and you'll still have their citizenship. You'll have dual citizenship. You can go vote there. You can do everything. The only people that don't have dual citizenships to any place is Bosnia. That's all we have. And when you drive to places like Mostar, which is one of my favorite cities in the south after Sarajevo, you'll see so many Croatian flags, and it's insane because it's like you're Bosnian, you're truly Bosnian, you're truly from Bosnia, and they identify so much with Croatia, and they just want to be Croatian really bad. And I've always thought, like, if you love it, just move there, but like leave the country alone that we love. Like, I don't like any other country as much as I like Bosnia, so just leave us to it, and you can just fan over Serbia and Croatia, go live over there and see what they offer you. But for us, like that's our only country. But you have people in politics that are working against your country because they hate it. And it's wild. It's like, I mean, we have that here too, but it's still wild. We have that here a lot, guys. But it's wild to see in real time. So, I mean, can you imagine taking taxpayer money and giving it to another country? Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
I can't imagine. I'm seeing it, you know? So, wow. So they divided the people by doing that based on faith or denomination.
Oh,
They're
wait, I
like,
have to tell you the craziest part.
hmm,
The craziest part is the way America wrote like the Dayton Peace Agreement. Everything is split into threes. So we have three presidents. We have three, like everything has to come in threes. Every state-owned entity has to have like the same amount of employees, which doesn't make sense because if you have a population and 60% is one religion and like 10% is another religion and you have to do it in threes, then you're indirectly like affecting another religion. If I mean, there's you're improving their quality of life. Like it's just insane. Like this, and that's what they're trying to do in Iraq too. But it's like you can't. It's not fair if it's not. It's 60% versus 10%, and then they all have like they have to have a third of everything, which is insane. It's stupid. It's so far beyond stupid, and you don't get a fair vote, right? Like these 60% of the people, their vote counts once, and these 10% counts exactly the same. It's disproportionately affecting the majority of the people.
Wow.
But that's what we have. So, and we have two presidents. Well, yeah, we usually have two presidents that hate our country at the same. So they do like rounds. They do, like get elected, and then like one year each one of them is serving, and like for like 2 years in a row, like you'll have people that hate your country. It's really great.
How many people got killed and massacred in the genocide?
It's really hard because there's still mass graves they're discovering to this day. So it's hard. It's hard to say. I know the city I'm from. I mean, in Sarajevo, it was tens of thousands, but in Srebrenica alone, I mean, it's like I don't even know how many now, but it's hard to say. Like, I never want to give a number because they're still finding it. They're still finding it. Um, I think the biggest effect, though, too, was the brain drain on the country, like the diaspora that left. Most of the people left. And so I would say I think Bosnia is one of the countries that has an equal number of people living outside of it as they do inside of it with their citizenship. So the drain, yeah,
Like tens of thousands of people or hundred thousands of people, you think?
I think hundreds.
Yeah, it's kind of like Gaza. They keep saying the 60,000, and I'm like, no, we probably even close to 500,000.
No, we're definitely close to half a million. I mean, you and I see the same stuff, right? Like if you just use math and you're like, okay, 200 people that I've seen a day for 2 years can't be
Yeah.
60,000. Like I've seen body parts and faces I can unfortunately still recall. So it's not. I mean, if you just literally use, third grade math, we can round up to half a million.
Yeah, yeah. So going back to Bosnia after the genocide, what did you see and what did you experience? Did it overcome? Are people trying to go back to normalcy or what's going on?
Our people are very resilient. Um, if it wasn't for the obvious, like physical, I would say, effects on the city. Like we still have Sarajevo roses where the grenades would drop, and they painted those red on the like sidewalk, and you'll see it on all the buildings. You'll see like the where the bombs dropped, like you'll see indentations with the shrapnel and stuff. If it wasn't for that, you would think it was just another, Eastern European third world country. You wouldn't think that they endured what they did for 4 years.
Wow,
Um,
that's intense. So, uh, like, how are the Serbian people, not talking about government, people here? Is there coexistence with Bosnians today? Is there hate? Is there animosity?
when you say Serbians, I just want to clarify, like, there's, I have very close friends from Serbia. They're all from Belgrade, like the major city. Belgrade used to have giant demonstrations against the war. People from Belgrade were very aware of what was going on, and they were very much against it. Um, I have so many people from Serbia that I love, like truly Eastern Orthodox Serbians that I absolutely adore. I think the ones that I have the most problem with are the ones that are from the smaller villages in Serbia, the smaller villages in Montenegro, the smaller villages in Bosnia that have probably never met a Muslim or that have never, met anyone else. And then they have so much hate in their heart. And, I've felt unsafe. Like we were driving back from Belgrade, and I've never felt unsafe in Belgrade. As soon as you tell them you're from Sarajevo, they love you. They celebrate you. But when we were driving back, we stopped at this small little predominantly Serbian village in Bosnia, and it was maybe like 3, 4 in the afternoon, and we definitely stood out. It was like four younger women who are in banking. We have our like banking outfits on. We are, all in our early 20s, and we're in this little village, and we just stopped to get coffee. And I just remember walking in and just feeling like absolute tension. Just people were just staring at us, but it was very like you could. I mean, we just walked in to have a cup of coffee, and they just stared at us like I can't begin to explain it, but like when like every hair on your neck stands up, like you just feel like you're not wanted there. We just got up and left, like without saying a word. We all just kind of got up and went. And this guy came out and just like punched our car with his fist, like the trunk. And then just we thought we were gonna die, but they let us go. So it was just like weird because I've never had that happen in Belgrade. I've never had it happen in Bosnia and in Sarajevo. It was just this very specific time where you feel like you're a minority. You feel like you're hated very much just for your existence. And the thing that's so funny is we all look alike, right? Like
Like, how can you tell if you don't open your mouth?
they can tell by our accents.
So that's the only way
Yeah,
when you speak.
yeah, they can tell by accent, and usually can tell by our first names. But we didn't say our first names. But as soon as they like hear our accent, it's very clear that we're from Sarajevo. They just like it was wild.
Mm,
But yeah,
yeah. So tell me, let's move on to faith. Tell me a little bit about your faith journey. What kind of faith were you raised in? What were you exposed to? Did you struggle with your faith? And where are you today with all that?
I have never struggled with my faith. Alhamdulillah. I was born Muslim, stayed Muslim, never wavered. I would say my faith journey is funny. So I'm very spiritual. I would say I'm more spiritual than religious, but I'm very spiritual. Like God is definitely in the center of everything we do. And my kids, I'm so proud. Like they're very aware. That just I just have to say, like they're like, why do we say Bismillah? And I'm like, just because it makes God so happy. And then they're just like so happy to do it because they want to make him happy. So I think I've never ever wavered in my faith. I've also understood how lucky I am, and how many things have worked out because of his will. So I don't take that for granted, and I try to also give back a lot because I do understand everything I have, everything we've done is because of him. So it's also I've if you guys don't know me, I have like debilitating anxiety and pretty bad depression. And that's something that helps me. Is like I just have to think about it. I'm just like, okay, it had to have happened this way. There's a better reason for it. And just gives me that little leeway where I can breathe and not overthink because I know something better is going to happen, even if something terrible just happened. I just am so sure something better is going to happen that I think is the only thing that keeps me sane. I will say sometimes, like, I'm embarrassed because I think my faith is so strong. And then I look at like the Palestinian people and I'm like, you're nothing. Like, you're nothing. Step it up. Step it up 10 notches. But yeah, I think you either live your life of like, why does this happen to me? And, God doesn't exist. Or you think about it like, thank God I survived everything. And there's a reason I'm here. So I think I just did the second one.
Tell me a little bit about that anxiety and depression. What's going on? Where does that stem from? And are you still dealing with that? Are you still
Um,
resisting that?
yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with that I'm like a millennial. I think we all have that diagnosis. But I think so I have like PTSD, and then just I think just life's journey and everything else, like you just kind of don't ever know what's going to happen next. And I think part of not knowing is what drives a lot of my anxiety is you can't predict it. You can't plan for it. You can't prep for it. And a lot of the things I've gone through, my trauma response is you have to be 10 steps ahead. You have to prepare. You have to know what's coming next. And so I think the unknown drives a lot of it. Um, I'll say I didn't know how bad my PTSD was until I saw the images out of Gaza because I think I was so little, my brain like suppressed a lot of the stuff I saw as a kid. And then seeing it again triggered so much. And I remember like walking into my doctor's office like November 2023, and she just looked at me and she's like, "You're gonna go on Lexapro." I was like, "No, it's fine. I don't need it." She's like, "Well, you're gonna die." She said either put down the phone or go on Lexapro. So thank God I listened to her and I did the Lexapro. And I do a lot of other stuff too. I do praying, meditation, walking in nature, going into the sun, a lot of stuff. But sometimes it's just you need an extra hand. And I think that's what it was. I just took Lexapro for a while until I just felt like my body just started to build the resilience back up, because I think it was just at one point like somebody pulls a net from under you and you just fall. And I think like once I stopped falling, and then I could just recalibrate and figure out, okay, what's next? I gotta activate. I gotta do this. I have to just put my like all of this energy I have into improving the situation and fighting against it. And so a combination of the two really helped. But I still deal with anxiety, and um, I get panic attacks, and I get, I don't know, like just some of the symptoms: irritability, whatever, insomnia, all the eyes. But I don't know. I think people that don't know me well, but they know me superficially, and I think I'm just smiling all the time. But I think it's part of our culture in Bosnia. We have a very good sense of dark humor. So we make jokes out of everything. I mean, anything you could think of, like the worst situation, we're laughing about it, because either that or you just go crazy. So I have that. Like, I sometimes I'll make these jokes, and especially my American friends are like, "Are you okay? Like, do you want to talk about it?" No, guys, it's fine. So
Wow. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of cultures that just laugh at the pain. That's all you can do. So, where does the PTSD come from? Is it from what you experienced as a Bosnian or other situations?
I think 90% is just what I experienced in Bosnia. Um, I won't talk about it now because I don't know how like where I am mentally, but we saw a lot of the same stuff we saw in Gaza. We saw it firsthand when we were like 4, 5, 6, and then finally 7. That's when I turned, I think, 7 in here. So like yeah, we had a lot. My grandfather was killed. There's a bomb that dropped at their house, and he was killed. My grandma was injured. We had a lot of stuff going on. So we had a lot of my friends. We had a bomb drop. We were all outside playing. Um, so my parents would let us. They would all, if they didn't hear any shooting that day, we'd go outside and play. So we went outside to play, and I asked my mom to send me like a jump rope, and she was on the 5th floor, so she like throws it down, and as I'm bending down, they start dropping bombs in the middle of the kids. And so I was just so light, like I was so tiny that the detonation like dropped me because I was already bending down. And my mom just sees like bombs and just shrapnel and just like kids lying down everywhere. So she's like about to jump out of the window, but she makes it down, and I get up and I'm like unscratched. But I lost, the friends I was playing with that I was actually getting the jump rope for, I lost them. So it was just, I remember like that memory very vividly. And that's why my parents were like, no, we're going to America. Like, this is insane. Like, we can't. And we got to Croatia. We had to, like, we were so little, my sister and I, but like, we literally took a van, walked over a mountain, like, did all this stuff, got to Croatia. And we were waiting for our papers for America. And the Dayton Peace Agreement was signed. So we were just kind of like, all right, do we go back or do we go forward? Like, and then my dad just called and he said, let's go to America. Because we don't know if it's, how it is, ceasefire. Okay, buddy. Like, we've seen so many ceasefires and people keep getting killed. So he just wasn't sure it was actually going to be a ceasefire. So that's why we moved.
Wow. I grew up in Palestine, right? It's been occupied ever since I was on this planet. And growing up in East Jerusalem, we will deal with the soldiers, the Zionist soldiers, the Synagogue of Satan soldiers, and they beat us, they stop us, they check our IDs, and any moment they can decide to take you to jail or abuse you or beat you or even kill you. But I've dealt with a lot of discrimination, racism from that side when I was back home, and sometimes you have to interact with them and go to their areas because they are everywhere and they took everything. And but I've never seen anything or experienced anything like what the Gazans has experienced. You know what I mean? Like, it's out of this world. Even my dad, who's as old as that Zionist entity, he told me, son, I've never seen anything like this in my whole life, whether it's on paper, TV, in person. He's never seen anything like this. So we're coming to a place in the world today that a lot of people are okay with children being bombed and killed and massacred. Let's say you don't care about adults. Okay, you don't care about adults. But anybody under the age of 10, let's just say 10, we're not even going to say 13, like 10. That's a kid. A kid is under 18, but okay, let's say under 10. If you're seeing that much kids getting killed, amputees, losing limbs, guts coming out, and Gaza overall has the most kids per capita in the world, and that population of 2.3, which is probably now 1.7, let's call it 2 million. Half of those are children under the age of 10, and half of that is under the age of 3, newborns and whatnot. And you're seeing a war on children. And this exposed everything to me. Why? First of all, as a follower of Christ myself, I cannot be supportive of genocide. I don't care who is getting genocided. I'm supposed to be with the oppressed, just like Christ did. I'm supposed to be with the children, like Christ did. I'm supposed to be with the weak and protect them, like Christ did. So to me, forget that it's Palestine and my people. Just that alone should tell me that I need to be against everything that is happening there. So being Palestinian on top of it adds another layer, right? So that exposed the world how all these celebrities, these athletes, some of them spoke, but I'm saying in general, 90%, 95 did not. Celebrities, athletes, all these activists that are animals, kids, anti-abortion, kids matter, babies matter, all these people, Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, Purple Lives Matter, Gay Pride, this and that, and uh crickets, crickets disappeared. None of them was talking, and the videos kept coming every day. Every day I'm watching it. I'm losing my mind. I am losing my mind. I had to put my phone away many times, but I couldn't because it's my home. And I'm watching this, and it keeps escalating once I think something really terrible happened, like them bombing a school. Then the next day they're bombing a church. Then they're bombing a mosque. Then they're bombing a hospital. And then they're bombing the tents where they told people to go, and then they're bombing them. And then they're going fishing, and they're bombing them as they're fishing. And they're telling them to go to the east, it's a safe area. They bomb, and I'm just seeing all this, and the dropping leaflets and telling them go here and there. And you're talking about some people cannot move. They're old, they have injuries. I mean, so many people lost limbs, and yeah, go from here to there. I mean, how many times can you move without food and water from one side to another side? Yeah, Gaza's not big, but it's going to take you hours to move from one side to another. I don't remember the last time I walked for 3 hours, with no food or water and a bleeding leg or maybe no arm. So I'm seeing all that, and it's just exposed who has a heart and who doesn't. And I blame everyone. I blame the Arab countries. I blame Europe. I blame Africa. I blame America, South America, Australia, all these so called world leaders and all these organizations about human rights and the United Nations, which is a piece of work, right? They created the Zionist state, anyways. And I'm seeing
Illegally,
ille-
illegally, illegally.
seeing how many people are just good Shabbos goyim, Gentiles, just submitting to the Antichrist state. And I'm like, wow, that tiny little entity runs the globe. It doesn't matter if you're Muslim, Jewish, Christian, Hindu, Buddhist, atheist, they run your country. Everybody's infiltrated. And it's mind blowing. Like what were your thoughts about what you saw happen in Gaza and the reaction of the world, especially the leaders of the world? Because we know the people are different than the leaders.
I will say I'm so lucky I'm Bosnian. We are absolutely not controlled by the Zionist entity. So I have never, ever been raised thinking anything Israel does is right. We just weren't raised with that propaganda. We just, Tito, our amazing former leader, hated Israel, um, recognized Palestine. We had excellent relationships, our first president with Yasser Arafat. Um, we've never been a Zio occupied entity. And if we were, we probably wouldn't have gotten slaughtered for 4 years. Um, I will tell you, Israel also supported Serbia and sent them weapons because, you know, they just love genocide. They're obsessed with genocide. I've never met a country that just like adores genocide as much as Israel does. So if anyone's committed genocide, they're just like jumping in to help. Like it's their favorite pastime.
I'm surprised they
So
didn't try to help the other side, like they helping Azerbaijan, that's supposed to be Muslim.
no, they were helping. No, they're helping Serbia. They gave the
Wow.
weapons to Serbia because America and its amazing like thought process. They said, you know what, we don't want this two sides to escalate, so we're going to put an embargo on both sides, which is really funny because one side had absolutely all the weapons and one side didn't have any weapons. So they said we're going to do an embargo, and so there was an embargo on both sides, which is such a joke. But then they literally made weapons. They, you know how the resistance does. The resistance will take whatever they can find and they'll make a weapon, but they're not giving up their land. And so here we are, and a huge military power that we find out now was also helped by Israel is genociding of people who are making makeshift weapons, and they still lost. And that's why I'm so sure Palestine's going to win because I was like, we had the fifth largest army against us and we won. Like you can't. It's a long term game, and they're losing, and they've lost everyone in the entire world. The people have woken up, and I think right now what I'm really happy about is Americans waking up because without America, Israel doesn't exist. We have to be very clear about that. Without America, Israel doesn't exist. Europe, and again, so proud to be from Bosnia. We have no guilt from the Second World War because we didn't do stupid stuff during the Second World War. So we have no guilt. So I don't think that they deserve a country in Palestine because I didn't make them leave their country. Like I really like the people that were living there originally. So we protected every religion in our country. We respected every religion in our country. So, you know, to try to get, which is what European leaders did, they're just so embarrassed of their history. That's why they're so firm with, their support for Israel because we all know that they're the reason Israel exists today is because of the former leaders of Europe. And so you can't you can't like wash the blood off your arms by committing like helping commit another genocide. Um, and that's what they're doing. So it didn't surprise me that European leaders were backing Israel and not letting people talk about it. But what was also funny to me is in Bosnia we had a saying. All of a sudden, after 4 years, Europe woke up and they said, "You guys, we can't have all this fighting happening in the heart of Europe. There's a genocide. We must stop it, guys." Like, what are you talking about? So we used to always say there's a number. They just didn't want a majority Muslim country in Europe, and there was a number. That's why Turkey is not getting into the EU. There's a number of Muslims they were comfortable with killing, and once that number was reached, then they were all of a sudden against it. Um, Saying like, can you guys believe this is happening? And the only thing that we were really lucky about in Bosnia was um, America wasn't involved, so we still had a lot of rules of law at play, and so they weren't shooting press indiscriminately, and so our stories really did go out. Christiana Mampour from CNN was there reporting on the news every single day. People got to see what was going on, which is different from Gaza. In the beginning, we saw a lot of images coming out, and then they just killed everyone reporting it and wouldn't let anyone in. So, unlike Bosnia, where we had foreign journalists come in reporting off of it, UN coming in reporting from it, so we kind of had a more transparent view of what was going on, and the world kind of got to see it in real time. With Gaza, I think what changed was, and what I think the Zionist occupation army wasn't ready, is social media. Like it backfired on them because I was watching all of their lies that they were just used to telling everyone, like, oh no, calendar was Hamas, hospital Hamas, babies Hamas, baby formula Hamas, peanut butter Hamas. Like, what are you talking about? So I think it just backfired that they were like, wait, these people can see it like with their own eyes and in just mass amounts. And they just lost like two entire generations. And I think once this whole boomer generation just goes away out of politics, out of everything, we'll finally have a chance to, get rid of some of the stronghold, because even Gen X, to be honest with you, but definitely like the boomers are still like so obsessed with this idea that Israel's our ally and we must help it and they are the best. And it's like, for what? Like, what did they do that was good for you? Like, what have they done once that was good for you? They've literally siphoned off all your money and involved you in every single war and like caused you to lose your sons and daughters. I'm not sure where the love is coming. It's such a toxic relationship when you're not from here and you watch them just like fangirl, like we stand by it. Like when I blocked so many people after October 7th, when I saw all the Israeli flags, we stand by Israel. I just started blocking everyone. And I've been advocating for Palestine for more than 15 years. Every protest, Bosnia had some protests. I mean, what can you do? We're a tiny country, but at least we're protesting. And protests here, I've always been speaking out against what was happening 2011, 2012, every single year that they decide to bomb Gaza. I was trying to share the message, and it's just been wild to see people finally catching up to it and realizing what's going on. And it's just been wild to see the like fallout of people realizing their government's been lying to them the entire time. Um, I was a Democrat 2 years ago. I was a Democrat, guys, because I thought we were the good guys. And now I'm like, oh, we don't have good guys. It's just bad and like worse. And so it's been 2 years of kind of trying to navigate my life too, because I was hitting the pavement. I'm like, Obama's our boy. He's got this. We've got this. I thank you for laughing, but I was like, no, it's the good guys. And I'm like, oh, he bombed everyone for 8 years. He was just bombing, like, but it doesn't matter, right? Because they were brown people, so it doesn't count. And it doesn't count because they were in Africa and they were black, so it doesn't count. And it's just, you see right now, like the thing that woke me up is a lot. I'm probably the darkest person in Bosnia, right? Everyone has like blonde hair and blue eyes. But to me, like the pictures that came out of Palestine at first, they all look like my kids. Like they all look like my boys. And so I just realized that like the world doesn't care if kids die, if they look like your kids. They die, they look like their kids, and then they care. Because in Ukraine, right, like everyone was out and they had the flags up and they had everything. Like, no, we stand by you, because they saw a little like blonde girl with blue eyes crying, which were the images that came out of Bosnia too, like blonde hair, blue eyes crying, and they were like, this is terrible. But then you have 200,000 kids, probably more, dead in Gaza, and they're like, I know, but you guys, October 7th was really bad. Like,
Hamas!
like, I don't, like, are you serious? And
Hamas is humble!
like,
Hamas!
we
Hamas!
try to blame the resistance, the people that are resisting an occupation, like you're trying to blame them for your genocide, is just something that I will never fully understand. I will never understand people siding with an occupation and people siding with colonialists and people siding against a resistance movement. I've never. And it's not even like a Zio thing, right? Like I also hate like the Arab Emirates. I hate like every Jordan, like Yemen, we love. Jordan, we hate. Egypt. Like I hate all of them. And like the UAE, we see you. We see Sudan. Like we see what you're doing. Like you're also trash. I don't care if we're the same religion. You're absolute garbage. Like you're trash, garbage. And anyone supporting them is trash and garbage. And I don't care that those kids don't look like mine. Like you're killing civilians. You're killing moms and dads and friends and neighbors and kids. Like you're absolute garbage. And I don't care if we share religion. Like we don't share religion. I don't even. And this is terrible because I know one of the 5 commandments is like Hajj. If you can go, you should go. And I said, may God forgive me, but if I ever set foot in Saudi oil or Saudi land, I'll kill myself. Like, I will never give you $1 for a visa to go visit there because I hate you so much. And you've shown everyone, like this entire thing has shown everyone who they were. And it's just like everyone's lost it. Like I thought Turkey would step up, right? I was like, Turkey's got this because they're like the brotherhood. I thought literally anyone And it's like we got Lebanon, Iran, and Yemen that are like doing something. And then everyone else is just, guys, we're going to maybe stop doing business with you if you keep doing this. Maybe.
Yeah, well, we also had Ireland because they went through their own genocide too. Um, China and Russia have been quiet, and they're playing chess while America's playing roll the dice,
Tic
right?
tac toe. Like, what is it?
And the Zionist state is playing Satan. So they're using America. America's destroyed because of that Zionist state. Look, I love this country. This country gave me freedom. It didn't give me support, but it gave me freedom. It gave me opportunities, and it's a place where people can coexist, which can be tough. But we know the history of America. But it's been hundreds of years. We're all here now. How can we make it work? Right? It's a fairly new country, but it's not as new as the Zionist state. But if you want to be in a country, you're supposed to want to make it better, right? Want to see it succeed. Otherwise, I'll leave, right? So I don't like people that are here that like, I don't want, I hate. I was like, leave, you know? No, let's try to wake them up. Let's try to educate them. Let's try to tell them, hey, there's children getting bombed. You call yourself a Christian. How would you feel if your kids were getting bombed? Would you be against it? Yes. Well, you need to say something. And that's what I believe. I believe instead of just running my mouth that, America, well, you're here. And I also didn't buy into the party systems. I'm traditionally more right leaning, as a Palestinian. Most of us are, you know. So we believe in the family structure. We believe in worshiping God, regardless of your religion. We're not supposed to support anything that God doesn't like. You know, we don't support prostitution, porn, trafficking, gayness, none of that. I mean, traditionally, that's how we are. Doesn't mean I hate it. I'm just not going to support it. So when you look at that politically, I'm right leaning. But then right leaning here is different than right leaning to God, you know? So I see everything going on and I'm like, what the heck is going on? For example, the Black Lives Matter movement was colonized, right? It started as a reason for stop shooting young kids, black kids. And then it went from being a movement to becoming an organization, right? And it was ran by the Democrats. Two wings on the same bird. You want the Jew here or the Jew there? So both wings on the same beast. And who infiltrated that movement? Gay flags everywhere. So is it about black people or is it about gay people? Then all of a sudden it was all black trans lives matter. So it became something totally different that was stop, like went away from the main message. Same thing, not comparing Black Lives Matter to pro Palestine, two different things. Pro Palestine was not funded by the Soros. So the Palestinian movement starts as hey, stop killing children in Gaza, stop the genocide, stop killing innocent people, but especially children. So then who joins again? Who jumps on the bandwagon? Gay flags. And that gave the American people on the right to be like, oh, look at the gays supporting Palestinians that, they're not pro gay and that and that. I was like, okay, yeah, Israel is really pro gay and Tel Aviv is the gayest city in the world, but Israel does not allow gay marriage, if you want to talk about gayness.
No,
I
but they
was like,
allow gay rape. They allow rape.
yeah, rape is
Yeah,
fine.
that
Rape,
rape is fine.
rape is fine. That's
But gay
different
marriage isn't.
than
Yeah.
being gay. So, as Palestinian culture and most, as they call us, Arab culture, we just we don't support such stuff. Like, if you want to be gay, but I'm not going to march in the street and raise a flag for your gayness. I don't raise a flag because I'm straight. So it's weird that in America they're fighting about who's a man and who's a woman and all these weird things. So when I looked at the Democrats, I was like, oh heck no, what the heck is going on there? And then I look at the Republicans in the beginning. I was like, okay, they love their country. Okay. They love God. Okay. They want to bear weapons so they can protect themselves. Resistance. Yes. And I was like, okay, they want to go have traditions, family, the nuclear family. I was like, yes. America, yeah, my country. Okay, I understand. If I was American, born and raised here, I will do the same. Then all of a sudden, the Israeli flags, and I'm like, what the heck is this? And they're like, we must bless Israel. I was like, the country that hates your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? What are you talking about? They're like, well, in the Bible, bless. And they start going to Genesis, the first book. And I'm like, bro, God is talking to Abraham.
I was like, that's a person. It's a person.
Was not born that became Israel. Jacob was not even born. So all this ignorance of the church here, not all, many of them, is what created that monster over there. So what these Zionist Jews did, they tweaked the explanation of the Bible, not the Bible, just like the Schofield Bible on the bottom. They put these little fine prints of what things mean. So that verse of I will bless those who will bless thee, and I'll curse those who will curse thee in Genesis 12:3, God is taking to Abraham, thee, you, one person. So they're like, no, he's talking to Israel. Oh, so his son, his grandson existed before him, you know? So all that chaos, and then I see Gaza, and then I see these flags, and I see all this chaos, and I'm like, oh no, I am done. If I had any idea that it was this bad, I would not have even been saying I'm right leaning, right? So I'm like, you're trash, you're trash, you're evil, you're wicked. I'm done. And that happened actually before Gaza. It happened in 2020 with COVID. I'm a critical thinker. God, thank you, Lord. You blessed me with a brain. And nothing made sense for me with COVID. I was a resistance. I was Hamas when the COVID came. I was Hamas to the vaccine. I was Hamas to the mask. I was against it all. And I was like, hey, I put my faith in God. And if I'm supposed to be dead, I'm a martyr for God. I'll be in heaven, flying, swimming, and alongside with Jesus Christ. So when I saw that, I started questioning everything. That's when everything started happening, my awakening. And then when Gaza happened, man, it was like God downloaded more information in my brain. And I was like, oh my God, I can't see the world the same. It's like my view of the world has changed. And today, many humans have lost their humanity because they're watching things like happening in Gaza, Sudan, Congo, Syria, Russia, and Ukraine. Both people are getting killed, and many other places around the world. And they're just kind of like this. They're just like this, the phone, they just keep swiping. I was in a chiropractor office and there was a guy on his phone in front of me and he was swiping on Facebook. Maybe he's 50s, 60s. And I know he's following all these social media, probably platforms with mainstream media and whatnot. And he's swiping. And then all of a sudden I see Gaza or Syria and children and stuff. And he's just like, and then he goes to the funny dog that is laughing dog. And he's like, then he swipes and more Gaza children's dead. And he just swipes up. And I was like, this is where we are today. Where are we heading?
I think I think people have always been like that though. Like I don't think it's a new thing. We just blame it on phones now and too much information. But you have to remember, slavery was a thing in this country. Jim Crow laws were a thing in this country. Concentration camps for Korean people. And just like, they're swiping now, they would skip the page on a newspaper. I think people have always either been good or bad people. And I don't think it has to do with your religion or has to do with you mentioned some stuff earlier I just want to get back to, but like I don't think it has anything to do. I think it's how you were raised and how your parents raised you. And I think it's so important. For me, what was mind boggling is watching moms not speak out against Gaza. Like that to me, I've deleted so many people, moms, I've blocked them because maybe you don't have kids. Maybe you've never developed that sense of, I have to protect someone. I made someone, I have to protect them. But as a mom, you know what it feels like for 9 months to worry about, is your baby going to be fine? Are you going to get through the delivery alive? Is the baby going to get through the delivery alive? Is your baby eating enough? Is your baby thriving? Are they going to walk? Are they going to do the first words? And so you know what it feels like if you're at all a good parent, the responsibility and love that you feel. And then you see moms losing like 4, 5, 6, 7 kids in a day, losing their entire lives, their families, babies, starving babies, emaciated babies. And their response was, but they were already sick. Like that was your entire defense, was they were already sick so they can starve to death. Like it was the mental gymnastics I've seen. So that's the thing. Like for me, I was always left leaning because I do believe, you know, everyone has rights to exist. Homosexuals have the same rights as, straight people. Nobody should be suppressed on because of what they think. I've always said everyone deserves to have access to food, to healthcare, to schooling. Nobody needs to be, just because you come from a wealthier background or you're a certain skin color or you're a certain this, you don't get to have a leg up in life. And that's basically what this country is. It's like, no, you have to already, like your parents both have to work at good jobs for you to have insurance. And you're getting medical access, dental access. You're getting like, it's such a scam from the beginning of your life to just like, you're always going to like, it's just the privilege you have just accumulates. It just accumulates and accumulates and accumulates. And I was born and raised in Europe. So I think I want my taxes to go and feed people on Snap to buy Doritos and to buy oatmeal cookies and to buy whatever they want to buy. I think every kid should have access to 3, 4, 5 meals a day, whatever they want to eat, any kind of food they want to eat. They want to eat. My kids eat junk food. I try really hard to make sure they get fruit in, they get, protein in. My kids also love junk food. And so if somebody was trying to mom shame me because I bought my kid Doritos, that would be terrible. And that's what I was seeing with the Snap stuff. So I just really thought that the Democrats were the ones, the left leaning ones were the ones that loved kids and loved people and wanted everyone to be, taken care of, which is why I leaned so left. And I'm like, let's do the pride flags. Let's do everything because I do believe in inclusivity. And I do believe that if you're a good human, you deserve everything. And so I was never right leaning. And this year, Candace and Tucker, like, and these are my people now. Like, these are my people now. I don't know what the hell kind of a hellhole I'm in, but like,
Yeah, this
these
is
are
where
my these are
left
my
and
people.
right have come together, and I love seeing it.
You should have seen it at the White House. So like a year and a half ago, there's these Palestinian students protesting in front of the White House, right? They all had kufias on and stuff, and they were saying like F Biden, F Biden, and then there's like a group of like MAGA with the hats going like F Biden. I'm like,
Oh yeah, I remember I saw that video. They're like,
I
"Let's
was
go,
there.
Brandon! Let's go,
And everyone
Brandon!"
was. I was just like, this is like, like, I think you guys are gonna have. And I think it's like also, I think the right though, like they're waking up now too, like with everything going on. I mean, the right. I'm gonna say this about them is they're much more organized. They are much quicker to act. They are. They're just very fast. And I wanted to just laugh a little bit when you said like they're family values. Like they're not family values. They all like everyone in the Republican Party has like 55 wives. They've cheated on every single one of them, and like grinder crashes when they meet up. So I'm like whatever the image. But also Democrats are like we're pro-life, and then they support a genocide and kill everyone. So I don't know what to tell you. Like I mean, not pro-life like pro-life, but I mean like pro-life like pro everyone living. And so at this point, I'm just like it's a competition. Who hates women more? Who hates women having rights more? Who loves corporations more, who loves Israel more, and who loves oligarchs more. And it's just, I think both sides are saying that American people, like nobody cares about you right now. Like we're offending for ourselves right now. They've stolen everything. They've, embezzled. They've done insider trading. They've sent all your taxes to Israel, Argentina, Ukraine, whatever. And your vets, like your vets are in line at food banks that are empty. And I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, like your people. There's a family I met recently when, the SNAP benefits got cut, and we did an outreach locally and to do like grocery buddies and just seeing if anyone needs help just to get through the season until SNAP benefits were reinstated and, to help a few families out. And it's like families, American, Christian, American families, white families, guys, that the SNAP benefits cut. And they're like one of the daughters is, has a severe disability that requires 24/7 care. So mom can't work. The dad's working, but he can't. If she does anything or works, they'll lose all the benefits, but not enough money to make up for the benefit. And so she can't work. The dad's working. They're taking care of a disabled kid. And I'm like, meanwhile, everyone in Israel has like, I don't know, free to do whatever, to bomb, to rape, to everything. They just have, you can go to the beach or you can bomb someone. It's your choice. You can do whatever you want, and the government will fund that lifestyle. And so it's just, I think now that both sides are kind of waking up, like, and I just think we have to get rid of this word like socialism, like it's a bad thing. Like, yeah, socialism just means your taxes that you already pay go to help you in your communities. And I think once they stop, bootlicking billionaires and everything else, we might actually see something. But until then, they're just dividing this country. They're dividing it with the left and the right. And I swear every single debate has been who loves Israel more. And I think now that, both sides are waking up like, wait, what does this have to do with the mayoral election in New York? They're just like what, it's not even Saturday Night Live could make it up. Like, it's just literally, it's like our New York City debate was who loves Israel more. And I think it's just been so out in the open now that people are finally waking up.
Yeah, it's
And
not subtle anymore. It's kind of like in your face. They're not even hiding it anymore. I always believed this based on the right and the left. The right, which are Zionist, and the left are Zionist, by the way. And the right are ran by the Jews, and the left is run by the Jews. So they go hand in hand. Let's not forget that. Let's pretend they're not married to each other. So the right side, the Republican side, bombs the Middle East. You bombed what's so-called Middle East, West Asia. Now you have all these people that don't have homes that want to go elsewhere. They're not going to go to other Arab countries because you're bombing those two. So they're going either to Asia or Europe. That's the closest one. They're not going to go to Africa through Egypt because you never know what's going to happen to Egypt. And plus, they're not going to go through the desert. So they're like, okay, Europe or Asia. So the ones that end up in Europe, they're fleeing there because of that. And then some of them end up in the US, not many. So, okay, so now you have immigrants. The left, which is also Zionist Jews, liberals, let's open the borders, open immigration. Let's just bring everybody. Who cares? So now you're flooding different countries with people that don't speak that language, don't have the culture, don't look like those people. And you're just flooding them. And you're like, okay, just come in, come in, come in. And then those people come. Some good people come, but many bad people come too, right? From anywhere in the world. So that's how both wings of the same bird work together. The right ruins the Middle East, creates immigrants, the left lets them in, ruins Europe and America. I mean, that's the plan. I'm not white, I see it. I'm like, so your plan is to ruin Europe. So why are they trying to ruin Europe, aka the white race, aka the Christian white race? Who's behind it? And why do they want to ruin that Christianity? Then you start going down the rabbit hole. And every time you go down the rabbit hole, you will find the rabbit without the letter T at the end. Every single time. So there is a war between these so called Jews, Ashkenazis, they call themselves Jews. That's who was in the Auschwitz camps. They never were in Palestine. They've been in Poland, Ukraine, Belarus, Russia, etc. They're the ones who took Palestine. Yes, with the aid of England, United States, Saudi Arabia, the whole nine yards. But they're the ones that said this is our land, and then they stole the identity of the actual real Jews, which probably were my ancestors that became Christians, that became Muslim. So that's how they work together, and their plan is to eliminate the white race, because anything you mix with white, what happens to white? Disappear. So if I was a white guy from good old Georgia, I don't want my people to disappear because I don't want my Palestinian people to disappear. Just like you don't want the Bosnian people to disappear. Japan should look Japanese, right? Brazil should look Brazilian, even though it looks like a melting, as they call it, the melting pot. And that term also comes from the left. But like Sweden should look like Swedish, right?
most of Sweden and Malmo, I think it's all my people. So hi guys, we took over
Yeah,
our cities.
Should
Sorry, guys,
like
they bombed us.
the day.
Yeah, well, not them, but like during the war, we got bombed, so we moved. A lot of people moved to. They're famous. Their most famous soccer player is Bosnian, Zlatan Ibrahimovic,
Hmm.
Bosnian. So again, without Bosnia, Sweden wouldn't have Zlatan. So remember that.
But yeah, that's I think what's happening right now, and there is a low key plan to infiltrate those countries, ruin those countries, use specific people to ruin those countries, innocently or knowingly, and just displace people that are not supposed to be displaced. Because I wouldn't want to be here if Palestine was free.
Heavy on that. Heavy on that.
I would no, like I would come to visit America, but I wouldn't live here. Just like the Pakistani or the Somali or the Syrian or the Mexican, which West America's Mexico, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? So you're creating immigrants and you're stealing their resources from those countries as well. And they have no choice but to go somewhere where there is resources. And America was the empire for the longest time, for about 400 years now. So you want to go where there is money. America has the land of opportunities. America is a big country. You can find a place as liberal as you want or as conservative as you want. You can find both. You can find white people, black people, brown people, beige people, purple people, green people, he, she, they, them, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, atheist, Hindu, Satanist. You can do whatever you want. Anything goes. Okay. So that's why people come here. But we just didn't know that if we come here, we're not going to be taken care of when we become American. So right now, I'm not getting taken care of. And if I was born and raised in America and I was fully American, I'm pissed. I'll be more pissed. You know what I mean? I'll be super pissed.
Exactly.
So that's
Exactly.
what's happening here.
But I also think it's on purpose. Think about it. Like the only reason people have had such a subdued reaction to the millions killed in Iraq, to how many do you know the numbers out of Afghanistan? Like, have we ever even like heard a true number out of Afghanistan? I'm just gonna say to like probably 10 million people, Muslims that have been killed since September 11th. It's been it's been an orchestrated attack on Muslims and inciting Islamophobia, and it's been very orchestrated. And this is another layer, right? Like you bomb a country, you create economic and war refugees. These people flee to a country of economic opportunity to save themselves, to save their children, which is what anybody would do, which is what Americans did, right? That's how we were like, that's how it was made. It was like people fled for economic opportunity to this land. Very American. And so they did that. And then now they're being called the others, Auslander, others, refugees. They're living off the state. They're doing this, they're doing that. And it's just keeps inciting this whole idea that, Muslims just come invade a country, have a bunch of kids. And I'll tell you what, there's never been a Muslim empire that has forcibly converted people ever in the history of Islam. It's people willing and wanting to convert. So it pains people. It pains that it's fast growing. It pains everything. And it's just this orchestrated Islamophobia in Europe that I'm seeing of like, even as a Bosnian, when you go to Austria, you're an Auslander. Outside, literally, they call you an outsider. And it's orchestrated. And I think it's all because who's at like, who is the snake's head, right? Like who's doing this?
Who's doing?
Israel, guys. They're the ones who orchestrated, who made us go to war with Iraq, who tried to just make us go to war with Iran, who made us go to war with Afghanistan. Like who stood at the UN and was lying about weapons of mass destruction their intelligence provided?
I
Who,
think, I
guys?
think it was that Polish Malkowski guy.
Yeah, Milikowski. Yeah, I hate him. But they don't care about your kids. Like, why weren't they fighting? If he was so sure Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, which, by the way, so do you. So who cares? Like, literally, I'm like, we're doing this with Iran. They're like, Iran has nuclear weapons. I'm like, so do you. And Iran has actually signed a pact, and you have not. I actually prefer Iran having. I love Iran having nuclear weapons. I hope they use them on you. Like, honestly, I really do. And I was very happy when Israel was getting bombed. I was celebrating. I think you'll see it on my Instagram. I was like, cheering. I was like the happiest I've ever felt since the war in Gaza started, the genocide in Gaza started, was watching Iran bomb. They held off. And you mentioned Russia, you mentioned China, you mentioned Iran. They don't want to engage in another American proxy war, right? Like America's already doing a proxy war with Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine should have never gotten involved in the Russian war. I don't care in popular opinion, whatever.
Well,
I
Zelensky
think,
is of a specific religion,
what religion is that?
Jewish religion.
Really shocking.
Yeah,
That's,
and he's homosexual too.
no, he's not. He has a wife.
No, he's
He has a
gay.
wife. It's a wife.
Doesn't matter. He's gay. He's a homosexual
Actually,
Jewish.
but no, like they're just sick of proxy wars with America. You know what I mean? Like whatever happened September 11th, if you choose to believe the government story about what happened September 11th, which is to me like the funniest kids bedtime story you could ever like think up of. Okay, like these two towers had two planes crash into them and like detonated, and then a third building just collapsed. You know, I don't know, the same time, and then
Google dancing Israelis, guys.
yeah, yeah. But anyways, like if you believe, even if you believe that entire, you know, Bubba Meistis, as my Jewish friends would say, Bubba Meistis, even if you believe that whole Bubba Meistis about September 11th, why did we attack Iraq? Has anyone ever found out? Like, what the hell did that have to do with us, right? Like, okay, so a Saudi family had a kid that like lived in a cave and he wanted to bomb us, and we knew that because of the passports they found, even though the building like detonated, and then they found the passports, which were, thank God, in perfect shape. What
It's
did that
because
have to do with Iraq?
because of Hamas.
Yeah, but like, what did that have to do with Iraq? Like, what did that have
It's
to do with
Hamas.
us?
Iraq is Hamas.
Everyone, but think about it. Like, Malakowski wanted Saddam Hussein gone. He wanted Gaddafi gone. He wanted like anyone he's wanted gone. He wanted Imran Khan gone. Like everyone he's wanted gone. His you know
He's
the
dead.
people the people revolted against them for some reason,
He wanted
and
Charlie
so
Kirk gone.
and whose kids were paying the price? Iraqi kids and American kids, right? Like who was drafted? It was Americans. Did not a single Israeli double citizen, I'm guaranteeing you, was like, you know what I mean? Like people have dual citizenship. I guarantee you they went to Israel and they weren't stepping on boots on the ground in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and anything. So it's like, for what?
Our greatest ally.
Our greatest ally, you guys. They're the
Greatest
best.
ally of all time. The most moral army of the world.
I'm so glad that got taken down. Like it was so upsetting for me for 15 years to hear that, like knowing what they've done for 15 years before this whole thing, like just knowing what trash they were, and then hearing them say like out loud, like they're the most. We warned people before we bombed their hospital. We warned them. Like if you bomb a hospital, you guys, we warned that we wouldn't bomb the hospital, but Hamas was in the hospital, and I'm just like, and one of my friends here in DC, because I was so into this whole Palestine thing and we didn't see eye to eye, and he's very right, like very right, like very, very right. And it was October 7th. It was my kid's birthday party. He was born, a few days earlier. It was a Saturday. And he texts me that night. And he's like, "Did you see what your boys did in Israel? Like try to like take a jab because I've like supported Palestine." I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't want to repeat the like lies, but we all heard, what they said." And I said, absolutely not. I don't know what happened, but they didn't do it. I'll check what happened, but I 100% guarantee you they didn't do that. They're a resistance movement. They're not going to whatever to whatever. Like they just don't do that. So I knew 100% that didn't happen. And now we all know, all of us except Kamala Harris knew that didn't happen.
Well, her
But she wanted,
husband is Jewish
really, that's so weird.
and white. Well, it depends. They're shapeshifters.
I don't mind. Like, I just want to clarify. I just, look, we're not saying I like, to me, Jews, awesome. My friends that are Jewish, thank you for supporting Palestine. I focus a lot on the Zios. And I
Yeah,
think what I
but
want,
hold on. But we have to be clear. We can't just say Zionist and make it just a broader term.
no,
We,
Jewish supremacy, I'll say Jewish supremacists.
yeah, so it is Jewish.
Supremacies. Yeah.
So there's most of Jews are Zionists,
86%. 86%.
probably more. So Yes, there are Jews that are anti the Zionist state, but those are cultural Jews.
No, one of my really good friends, Ronnie. I don't know if you guys, my followers probably follow him, but Ronnie Burkan, he's actually from Israel and he's Jewish, and I think he's done more to speak out against Israel. Like he calls for like the absolute like like disappearance of Israel. He is doing like Jewish Congress for Jewish like anti-Zionist Jewish Congresses in Vienna. They've kicked him out of Israel. Like he's in Europe now. He's dedicated his entire life as a Jew fighting against Israel. We have to be so important to recognize those voices that are like born there, raised there. That's all they've been taught, and they somehow saw the truth, and they were like, "No, we're not buying into this BS." And especially like my Jewish friends in America, especially my Jewish friends in New York, that have lost. Like my friend Sim, hi Sim, um, she lost her whole family basically. Like for a while, they didn't talk to her because she's pro-Palestinian. My friend Ellie, his family didn't speak to him because he's so pro-Palestinian, and it's just like people, Jewish people that have lost their identity, their sense of self. Like imagine everything that you've ever thought you just found out was wrong, and you're the bad guys. And you've just gone from like decades of hearing that you're the victim, that you're the victim, that you're the victim, this horrible thing was done to you, to then to find out that your people turn into the bad guys. Your people are doing worse than was ever done to them in the Second World War. It just causes like huge identity crisis in these people that I've seen. And it's just like, you're one of the good guys, I love you. You've seen the truth, I love you. But when you have the ability to access facts and to get out of that, you know, mindset, and you still choose to be a Zionist, like you're trash. And you can be a Christian Zionist, you're trash. Muslim Zionist, like my DJ Khaled, yeah, you're absolute trash. Like you can be any religion and be a Zionist, and I will call you trash to your face.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. It's just the Jewish question is always a question of what's going on, because we can't ignore the control of Jews of American organizations, the media. We can't just say Zionist because they say they're Jewish. So whether they're on the left or on the right, Hollywood, music industry, banking system, that's Jewish. I mean, it is what it is. So I think these people that are Jews that are anti-Zionist should be the loudest, because I can't tell who's who and who's who. If you want to put ISIS as Muslims, then I'm going to put Zionist as Jews. Till you differentiate, like I do, between ISIS and Muslims,
Are you talking about the same ISIS that was invited to the White House that's also owned by Israel, by the way?
that's Al Qaeda, whole
Oh,
different
is that Al
group.
Qaeda? I can't remember.
Yeah, in a suit with a cologne and a beard. He looked like Herzl,
He looked like
Theodore,
Zelensky.
Theodore Herzl, the Zionist founder. So yeah, yeah, the Giuliani, right? The new president of Syria. Yeah,
They
that's a whole.
destroyed Syria. They destroyed Syria. They destroyed, and trust me, I'm not an Assad fan. Like, trust me, I'm not an Assad fan. But they won't let people there elect who they want to elect and just determine their future. It's all puppet governments that bow down to Milikowski and whoever, Milikowski's appointed at the White House. But it's just that. It's people that don't say no to Israel that just get, I mean, you saw Sisi, right? Like, what is that? Like, what is, but there's 115 million Egyptians. You guys can get like a truck of water to Gaza. Like, a truck of water into Gaza. There's 115 million of you. Let's say there's 50 million men of like military age, not like a bottle of water into Gaza
Yeah, I
because of the
mean,
puppet governments.
if you blink, you won't even see Sisi is like what, 3 foot tall, maybe. But yeah, that's he's a sissy, so that's what he is. Well, it was such a good conversation. We could keep going on, but I enjoyed learning a lot about Bosnia. That's the most important part to talk about for me, to learn and educate the audience. So thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your heritage and your family tragedy with us, pretty much. And Mia, I hope God keeps on blessing you. Keep speaking about the people that are suffering around the world. We can't pick and choose. Suffering is suffering, regardless of who's suffering. I pray that one day we will see Palestine free, where there is coexistence again between the three religions, as far as worshiping God without being Zionist or superior over one another. And till that day come, we're just going to have to keep speaking, and justice will be served. If not in our lifetime, hopefully later. I have faith in the Gen Z. The new generation is going to change the world, and the older people are going to die with these old traditions and racist mindset. But I see the new generation more open minded. They want coexistence. They still have good values, but they question everything, which I love. So I hope your sons and daughters end up like these people because we need them.
Thank you so much. This was such an amazing experience, and thanks for letting me talk about my country. I really do love it, but also thanks for shedding the light on what we're going through right now, all of us as humans, and what we all did, what work we still have to do. So I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, Mia, tell people where they can find you.
Guys, follow me on Instagram. It's the DMV Diva. Follow me, and I will share more about everything that's going on.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for joining us. God bless you. All right.
See you too.
All right. Peace. All right, guys, you heard it. There's a lot of tragedies in the world. Some are not spoken about, or maybe some people just don't learn or read about it. So I hope you learned something today, and seeing that somebody's else tragedy that doesn't look like you, doesn't practice the same religion as you, and doesn't live in the same country as you, doesn't speak the same language as you, has another tragedy that is similar to yours. So after all, we're not so different, are we? Until next time, God bless you. Free Palestine, and Christ is King.